The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent, and in an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down.
I mean, the internet literally broke. It was insane.
It really was. Welcome to StarScope K-Report. I'm Eric.
And I'm Minji.
Join us as we ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering, the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates.
From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
Exactly. And if you opened YouTube or TikTok in mid-August 2026, you almost certainly saw this viral video title plastered everywhere. In all caps, JYPE is collapsing, why Chaeyoung and Jeongyeon just QIT twice.
Oh my gosh, those thumbnails, they were so dramatic, like the red arrows, the crying faces.
Pure internet sensationalism.
Right.
The fan forums went completely dark for a few hours, just mass panic. But while the headline was clickbait, the core facts behind it sent a legitimate shockwave through the global music industry.
Yeah, a massive shockwave. Because within the span of just 3 days, 2 core members of TWICE, which, I mean, we all know is arguably one of the best-selling, most influential girl groups in modern history. They announced they were leaving JYP Entertainment.
Right, the massive corporate powerhouse that built them from the ground up, the only professional home they've ever known.
It's the kind of structural earthquake that forces the entire Korean entertainment sector to just stop and take notes. We're looking at a group that didn't just participate in the Hallyu wave, they practically defined it for over a decade.
Totally. So when fundamental pieces of that architecture start moving, it signals a shift far beyond just one music group. So today, our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the reality behind those dramatic headlines.
And we brought the receipts.
We really did. We've got a massive stack of sources to guide us today. We're pulling from breaking news reports from the Korea Herald, Soompi, and the Express Tribune.
Plus, we're tracing the group's meteoric rise through Wikipedia's extensive archives.
Right. And we're also looking closely at the raw, unfiltered reactions from fans, the real K-nets on Reddit and Kpop. We're going to explore, the underlying mechanics of these departures, what it actually means for the future of the TWICE brand, and how the entire model of K-pop might be fundamentally changing.
And honestly, setting the celebrity aspect aside for a second, this is an incredibly compelling business case study. It explores the tensions so many professionals face. How do you balance a fierce, tested loyalty to the team that helped you succeed with the inevitable need for individual creative control?
Yeah, if you've ever felt stuck in a job where you're comfortable, maybe highly compensated, but just completely unchallenged, you can probably see a reflection of yourself in this story.
Oh, for sure. It's so relatable when you strip away the glamour.
So let's start breaking this down with the first major move, August 10th. After more than a decade operating under the JYP Entertainment banner, 29-year-old Jeongyeon posts a handwritten letter on her personal Instagram.
The handwritten letters always make my heart drop. You just know big news is coming.
Right. It's a staple of K-pop announcements. So she confirms she is leaving the agency to sign a new exclusive contract with VARO Entertainment. And, her vulnerability in this letter is really striking.
It really was. She called JYP her second home since my teenage years, and she admitted that stepping away from that familiarity was, quote, daunting at first.
Which is such a human reaction. It's like moving out of your childhood home or leaving a long-term corporate job. There is this profound fear of losing that safety net, but an eventual realization that, comfort zones don't cultivate growth.
Exactly. And to really grasp why it's so daunting, we have to look at the psychological hold of the traditional K-pop agency model. JYP Entertainment isn't just a record label that distributes your music. They are a fully integrated system.
Right. They basically own your whole schedule.
Yeah. They recruited these women when they were literal children. If we look back at the Wikipedia archives, TWICE was formed in 2015 on a reality television show called 16.
Oh, man, 16. That was intense.
It was. The premise of that show was essentially a cutthroat survival competition where the agency's founder, J.Y. Park, held absolute power over who debuted and who was sent back to the training basement.
It makes me think of a highly aggressive tech incubator.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. If you have an idea for a startup, an incubator will give you the office space, the servers, the legal team, and the mentors. They provide this incredible safety net and all the resources you need to launch. But in exchange, they own a massive chunk of your company.
Yep, they take the lion's share.
They own the intellectual property, and they dictate the release schedule. In the K-pop world, the agency trains you, houses you, feeds you, and meticulously crafts your public persona. So leaving that incubator means giving up the entire machine that makes your daily professional life function.
That analogy hits the core of the issue perfectly. JYP provided the infrastructure for a decade, but what happens when the product outgrows the incubator?
You leave, but where you go matters.
Exactly. And the specific direction Jeongyeon chose for her next phase is very telling. She didn't sign with another major music label. She went to VARO Entertainment, which operates primarily as an actor management agency.
Yeah, I noticed that detail in the source material. Like, they represent prominent actors like Baeon Woo-suk, but they also represent someone a bit closer to home, don't they?
They do. Her sister.
Ah!
Yeah, the actress Gon Sung-yeon is represented by VARO. So Jeongyeon is moving toward a sector of the industry she clearly wants to prioritize, which is acting. And she is doing it within an agency where she already has a deeply trusted familial connection.
That makes so much sense. She's swapping a music-focused infrastructure for one built specifically to support actors.
And the fans, who are collectively known as 1Z, picked up on this strategy immediately. Reading through the Reddit threads and the discourse on Kajit, the timeline was flooded with people anticipating an official acting debut.
Oh, if Jeongyeon is your bias, this was a massive moment of celebration.
Pure hype. But looking closely at the translations of her letter, netizens latched onto a very specific phrase. Jeongyeon mentioned finding a company that, quote, supports me wholeheartedly.
Ooh, that's a loaded phrase.
Right. That phrase ignited a lot of speculation. Many interpreted it as a polite but pointed critique of her time at JYP. The comments on Kajit were filled with fans arguing that her individual potential had been stifled.
Really? Stifled how?
Well, some were speculating that JYP intentionally blocked her from taking acting roles. And just to be clear, we are purely reporting on the netizen reactions here, not taking sides on JYP's internal management, but that was the narrative going around the fandom.
Right. We're just looking at the K-Net's theories. But I have to wonder about the mechanics of that, though. Like, if you are a corporate entity like JYP and you have a group generating millions of dollars on a world tour, wouldn't you actively discourage your members from taking a 6-month hiatus to film a K-drama?
Financially.
Absolutely. The financial incentive is heavily skewed toward keeping the group together and touring constantly.
You've identified the fundamental conflict of the K-pop business model right there. A group comeback, which, in K-pop terminology doesn't mean returning from retirement, but rather the intense multi-week promotional cycle for a brand new album requires complete synchronicity.
Right. The choreography, the music shows, everything.
Exactly. If one member is off shooting a drama, the group has to perform with an incomplete lineup, which can impact ticket sales, brand deals, and overall momentum. An agency like JYP will always prioritize the group's schedule, because that is the primary revenue engine.
So Jeongyeon realized that to secure a schedule that prioritized her acting, she had to leave the music incubator.
She needed a totally different corporate structure.
But wait till you hear what netizens uncovered about Chaeyoung's next move, because that is a whole different level of independence. We will get to that in just a second.
It's a wild pivot.
And hey, if you love staying updated on your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K-Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead. So back to the timeline. Just 3 days later, on August 13th, the situation escalated.
Escalated is an understatement.
Right. 27-year-old singer and rapper Chaeyoung released her own statement. She thanked JYP for 14 years of support, but confirmed she was also walking out the door. Now, if Jeongyeon left to find a different kind of corporate support, Chaeyoung's departure feels like a complete rejection of the corporate structure altogether.
It is a radical pivot.
Yeah.
Because Chaeyoung, being part of the Maknae line, she isn't moving to an acting agency. She announced the launch of her own independent label, LIL Fantasy.
Wow.
Yeah. The sources note she described this new label as a world where I can explore and build my music. This is a quest for absolute, untethered creative control.
The name LIL Fantasy is a direct callback to her solo work, isn't it?
Yes, it is the title of your solo LP, Lil Fantasy Volume 1, which was released in September 2025. And we have to look at the critical reception of that project to really understand her leverage here.
It did really well, right?
Incredibly well. That album didn't just perform well with her existing fan base. It earned serious industry credibility, landing at number 86 on Rolling Stone's 100 Best Albums of 2025.
That is huge. And it changes the entire economic equation for her. Going back to the tech incubator analogy, Chaeyoung has realized she no longer needs the corporate servers or the in-house marketing team.
Not at all.
Like, if you stay at a major K-pop agency, you are constantly negotiating your artistic vision through layers of A&R executives, producers, and choreographers. Your music is, by design, a compromised product.
It has to appeal to the masses.
Right. But if you own the independent label, you are the final decision maker. You own the master recordings, you dictate the distribution, and let's be honest, you take home the lion's share of the revenue.
She essentially cut out the middleman. And the sources highlight how effectively her new independent team is already operating, which is super impressive.
Oh, well, with the PR stuff.
Yeah. Around the time of her announcement, rumors surfaced regarding her personal life, specifically alleging a breakup with the artist Zion T. In the past, managing that kind of PR would fall to JYP's massive communications department.
Right, they'd put out the classic, "It is difficult to confirm the artist's private life" statement.
Exactly. But Chaeyoung's new indie team handled it swiftly, denying the rumors and controlling the narrative on their own terms. It demonstrates that she is fully capable of managing the intense scrutiny of the industry without a major corporate shield.
She's literally operating as her own CEO. But I want to pause and consider the sheer panic this must have caused for the fan base.
Oh, it was chaos.
You have two massive departures in 72 hours. One member shifts to an acting agency, another launches an indie label. For the average observer, this looks exactly like the YouTube video title we talked about at the beginning. It looks like a collapse. It looks like Twice is over.
The initial reaction was definitely fear of disbandment. However, both women released highly coordinated statements to address that exact concern.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, Jeongyeon stated explicitly that Twice is, quote, the center of my life, and Chaeyoung promised fans that nothing changes regarding the 9-member group. Crucially, VARO Entertainment, Jeongyeon's new agency, issued formal press releases, pledging full cooperation and support for her Twice activities.
Okay, I see the assurances, but I am struggling to understand the logistics of how this actually functions in the real world. Let's say Twice announces a new world tour next year. JYP Entertainment organizes it, obviously.
Right.
But Jeongyeon is managed by VARO, and Chaeyoung is managed by Lil L Fantasy. Who is negotiating their cut of the ticket sales? Who pays for their flights and security? How do you synchronize a rigorous music show schedule with an independent artist's solo releases and an actor's filming commitments? It sounds like a nightmare.
It introduces a staggering level of logistical complexity, for sure. But what we are seeing is the normalization of the split contract in the K-pop industry. JYP retains the trademark for Twice and manages the group's collective IP. But they now have to sit at the negotiating table with VARO and Lil Fantasy as equal partners, rather than treating Jeongyeon and Chaeyoung as subordinates.
Oh, wow. So the power dynamic is totally flipped.
Completely.
Yeah.
VARO will take a percentage of Jeongyeon's touring revenue for managing her schedule, and Chaeyoung's label will negotiate her participation on a case-by-case basis.
So the monolithic control is broken. It requires a level of compromise and scheduling gymnastics that agencies historically hated doing. You know, it actually reminds me of the Marvel Cinematic Universe model.
Oh, I love that comparison.
How so? Well, you have characters like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. They all have their own standalone multi-million-dollar franchises. They go off, deal with their own villains, and operate in totally different genres.
Yeah.
But when there is a massive world-ending threat, they assemble. They are still the Avengers. Twice is transitioning into a collective of powerful, autonomous entities who will assemble when the event warrants it.
That framework fits perfectly, and when you look at the sheer scale of the Twice brand, you understand why maintaining that collective is so vital to all of them. The statistics from their recent global triumphs are staggering.
Lay them on me.
Okay, so they have sold over 15 million albums. During their ready-to-be, and this is for world tours, they drew 550,000 fans in North America alone.
500,000 people. That is stadium status.
Literally. They made history as the first foreign act to hold a solo concert at Japan's National Stadium. They headlined Lollapalooza in Chicago in 2025 and recently released their 10th anniversary album, 10. The story goes on. I mean, they are used to getting an all-kill in the charts. You just don't abandon an empire of that magnitude.
You definitely don't. But we need to talk about what it actually costs them to build that empire, because the sources touch on something we really cannot gloss over, which is the severe physical and emotional toll this level of success demands.
It's the dark side of the Hallyu wave that people don't always want to talk about.
Right. The schedule required to sell 15 million albums and tour stadiums globally is punishing. Over the years, multiple members, including Mina, Jeongyeon, Chaeyoung, and Dahyun, have had to take extended health hiatuses.
And, the industry term is often just hiatus, but the realities behind it are severe.
Yeah.
We were talking about debilitating anxiety, panic disorders, and serious physical injuries exacerbated by pure exhaustion.
It's so intense.
The contrast between the bright, perfectly synchronized performances on stage and the immense psychological pressure behind the scenes is a heavy, heavy burden.
Taking a step back, it really reframes this entire conversation about contracts. When Jeongyeon writes about the agency being her home since her teenage years, she's talking about the entity that oversaw not just her successes, but her physical breakdown.
Yeah, that's a really sobering thought.
They have bled, sweated, and suffered for this group. The bond forged between those 9 women through that kind of shared trauma and triumph is so much deeper than a corporate non-compete clause. They are fiercely protecting the sisterhood they built, while finally putting boundaries around how much of their personal well-being they're willing to sacrifice for the corporation.
It is a profound assertion of boundaries. By stepping outside the agency, they can finally dictate their own pace. If Jeongyeon needs a month off between projects to just recover, VARO will accommodate that. If Chaeyoung wants to spend a year just writing in her studio without releasing anything, well, fantasy allows it. They're protecting their health and their art while preserving the legacy of Twice.
It makes complete sense for them, but it leaves a massive question mark hovering over the rest of the group.
And that's not even the wildest part of this whole situation. Wait until we talk about how this affects the remaining members.
Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update. Because seriously, if Jeongyeon and Chaeyoung have successfully navigated this split, what happens to the remaining 7 members?
That is the variable nobody can predict with absolute certainty right now. Nayeon, Momo, Sana, Jihyo, Mina, Dahyun, and Zuyu are all presumably evaluating their leverage right this second. The Reddit forums are dissecting every single social media post looking for clues.
So what are the prevailing theories among the fans right now? What are the K-Nets saying?
There's a strong working theory that Nayeon, who has a highly successful solo pop career managed by JYPE, will stay. The same goes for the Japanese subunit, Masamo, consisting of Mina, Sana, and Momo, because JYP is heavily invested in their specific regional promotions.
That makes sense. They're basically a distinct revenue stream within the company.
Exactly. There's also discussion about Dahyun staying, primarily because JYP has actually been actively managing her acting career, proving they can provide that specific support when pushed.
But the silence from the others is loud.
Very loud.
Because there are rumors mentioned in the sources about Zuyu, and perhaps most critically, the group's leader, Jihyo, potentially seeking representation elsewhere. If the designated leader of the group leaves the foundational agency, the optics of that are a whole different level of corporate crisis for JYP.
It would be huge.
Yeah.
But the precedent is set, regardless of who stays or goes. Jeongyeon and Chaeyoung have provided a real-time roadmap. They have demonstrated to their bandmates and to every other idol in the industry, really, that there is viability, leverage, and life beyond the walls of the mega agencies.
We are watching a fascinating evolution. Just think about the arc here. These women started out as anxious, vulnerable teenagers on a televised survival show where their entire future rested in the hands of one executive.
Yep, the classic trainee struggle.
Now, a decade later, they are multi-millionaire industry veterans equipped with the legal and financial power to dictate their own terms. They are proving that you can outgrow the incubator without having to burn down the company you built inside of it. You can honor your roots while demanding the space to expand your branches.
It is such an empowering narrative for the artists, but it signals a potential crisis for the traditional corporate model. As we see more elite, third-generation K-pop idols successfully execute these split contracts, taking their individual intellectual property to boutique agencies or independent labels, while utilizing the mega agencies purely for group logistics, the balance of power is completely shifting.
Which leaves us with a massive provocative question to consider about the future of this multi-billion-dollar industry. If the artists hold the leverage and the agencies are reduced to mere logistical partners for occasional reunions, are we witnessing the slow death of the all-powerful K-pop agency?
That is the million-dollar question.
Could the future of the Korean entertainment machine look less like a manufactured factory system that owns its talent and more like a fluid collective of highly powerful, independent contractors who only join forces when the terms suit them?
The monopoly on talent is fracturing. The power is moving out of the boardrooms and directly into the hands of the creatives.
It brings a whole new meaning to those dramatic headlines we saw in August. The system isn't necessarily collapsing, but it is being aggressively redesigned by the people who built it. Let's see what they design next. You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.